Hello, everybody. Welcome, guys, to this podcast, Latino by Birth, American by Choice. We're excited to be here and, hopefully we'll be able to share some stuff. My name is Juan Pablo Panchano. I'm here with my friend Kim
Hello.
Cowboy.
Hello.
Um, anyway, so yeah, we just
Aren't
talk.
aren't we hoping to maybe go in a little more depth about some of the things that you share in your book and some of the
Yeah, so we just released,
ways?
my first book, Latino by Birth, American by Choice, which is, even the title of the podcast. So a lot of people wonder about that. Like, are you
Yeah.
giving up?
Yeah.
Are you, yeah, giving up on
Yeah.
your Latino roots and stuff? And
Yeah, because you have a quote that I mean, besides Latino by birth, American by choice, that you
hmm
choose to be American. Sometimes that gets your
yeah,
Latino friends all up in the air.
yeah. But what I say, people, being American is not about giving something up. It's about embracing something more, you
Hmm.
know, adding to your life.
Hmm.
And it's not about nationality, it's not about citizenship, it's not about geography. It's
Yeah.
not just linked to the United States,
Right.
but we're talking about a spirit, the
Hmm.
spirit of America that initiated way before even
Yeah.
America came into existence.
More about a way of being,
hmm
right?
I mean, we adopted it as the spirit of America because it was the inspiration that led, you know, that not just the discovery of the new world,
Hmm.
but the development
Yeah.
of, this way of life that it was meant for the whole continent, the whole American continent, but only the United States or only the 13 colonies really embraced that spirit. And is what we have now as the United States of America, which is the example, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
which, a lot of people get upset because you know, we refer to the United States as America. And they say,
Mhm.
but America is a continent. It's not just a country. And that
Right.
is true.
Right.
But what I say to people is that the United States embraces or is
Hmm.
the symbol of what the Americas was meant to be as the whole continent.
Right.
And so the United States earned that title, not
Hmm.
because of pride but because of purpose,
How
you
it
know.
was found, what it was founded on, and how it
Exactly.
started. Maybe not where it is today, even because it's starting to
Exactly.
be
Yeah, we're talking
influenced by
about
other
yeah,
things.
we're talking about the origin
Mm.
when he started the vision of the founders, and the people that were involved in that early beginning,
Right.
and these were people that what set them apart was that they were willing to leave everything behind.
Hmm.
You know, the king, the old religion, and
Yeah.
their slogan was no king but God. So they really embraced the opportunity to be transformed into
Hmm.
something new,
Hmm. Hmm.
you know, different from the old world, different from the tyranny, from all the oppression and everything that made people miserable, that took away people's opportunity to express their liberty.
Took away their hope, everything. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. It was all about domination.
Hmm.
And so that spirit,
Hmm.
which is really God's spirit that touched the hearts of those earlier people, that were inspired to come across,
Hmm.
the ocean and establish here in the Americas
Hmm.
from the north, center, and south. And, like in Latin America, especially like Colombia, like we talk about Simon Bolivar. He
Hmm.
was referred to as a libertador, the liberator. I mean, this man, he was powerful and he had that spirit.
Hmm.
He had the American spirit,
Hmm.
you know, and he did all he could. And he was able to bring about a lot of unity.
Mm-hmm.
He created, or he was part of the formation of the of La Gran Colombia, which was Colombia or modern day Colombia, Ecuador, Panama, Venezuela.
Wow.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and but little by little it dissolved. You know,
Wow.
people, because people weren't all in.
Right.
And that was the opposite of people
What
that
happened in the 13 colonies. But
and what
it
eventually
makes
becomes
me,
the United States of America.
yeah, but does make me think of another quote that you say a lot, which is, and I'm going to get it wrong, so you have to correct me, but about the state of the nation is representative of what's in the people's hearts, right? And
Yes.
is
Yeah,
that why that didn't really take off, and even why
exactly.
some of the struggles that we are see
Exactly.
today, and
Yeah, whatever is in in the heart of the majority of the people,
Mhm,
that's what's going to lead a nation, you know?
mhm,
Um, and that's exactly what happened. And so in the United States, or what became the United States, these were people that were united, or the majority of these people were united in this idea and this
mhm,
purpose to liberate all men, to allow all men to have the opportunity to think for themselves.
mhm,
Like in my first chapter or second chapter, which is, I talk about, the gift of knowledge.
mhm.
I talk about how America or the United States didn't invent knowledge, but it liberated it.
Right,
You know, he allowed, you know, uh, people to be able to express,
right.
and
Because at that
learn.
time there was a lot of oppression, and they were trying to
Exactly.
control information and
Exactly.
knowledge and
And
who
so,
got it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's so much history and there's so much divine intervention in this process because these people were willing to detach themselves from everything. In my book, I
Hmm.
also talk about Christ's teaching on the old wineskin.
Hmm.
You know, he says that a new wine cannot be poured into old wineskins. And the reason is because wine expands
Hmm.
and it will tear apart the old bag, the old wine bag.
Hmm.
And the same thing, like God cannot expand our lives. He cannot expand his purpose in our nation, in our own lives, in our families, whatever that may be, in our
Hmm.
local communities, if we are not willing to let go of the old. And so
Right.
that's what happened with Central and South America. They were not willing to let go of that.
They're still clinging to the beliefs or
Mhm.
the things that were getting in their way,
Yes, and
really.
still today.
Hmm.
Although there's a country that has been like, ultimately it's been a great example to us all, which is El Salvador with Bukele.
Hmm.
Like I applaud Bukele. I mean, he's done a great work,
Hmm.
and that is the example of a people that was ready to receive new wine,
Hmm.
to receive new freedom, new opportunity.
Right.
You know, it reminds me of what happened back with the earlier colonies.
Hmm.
These people were willing to embrace the new.
Yeah. And it's not just about, it's not because we know people don't want to be in a dictatorship or those things. So they would say that they don't want that, but it's all about how they behave and
Mhm.
what's really driving them from
Exactly.
their hearts that's causing the
Exactly.
obstacles, right?
I mean, Benjamin Franklin said, like people that give up their liberty for little security,
Hmm.
that they compromise their principles for a piece of bread,
Hmm.
for anything.
Yeah.
He said that they are not worthy. They don't yeah, they're not worthy of that liberty, that freedom.
Right.
And
It does
it's
take a lot of
exactly,
courage.
he does. I mean, and see that the whole issue and the whole thing about my book, I think, is about sticking to principles.
Hmm.
Principles um, that set the boundaries to where not only protects your own liberty,
Mhm.
but it protects everybody else's. And so when the majority of the people then start giving in to the little things,
Mhm.
that the government, and that's one of the things that the founding fathers always talked about. The guy, when a government increases in power and influence, you know,
Mhm.
by human nature, they're going to try to dominate.
Mhm.
And so that's how dictatorships are formed,
Mhm.
through people that start giving handouts to the people, and everybody starts biting into that.
Right.
And so that shows, like the case in Venezuela, the majority of the people, went for that, for the
Right.
little,
The
for the
little
crumbs.
breadcrumbs, right?
Exactly. And that's why they ended up with that dictatorship. And so now things have changed there because they took, Maduro out of there. But are the Venezuelans ready
Right.
for
In their minds and
freedom? I
hearts.
don't think they are. There needs to be a transformation within the heart of the majority of the people. And I
Mhm.
don't think they're ready. It's a really sad situation, but I don't know what's going to happen. It's just like the Israelites when they
Mhm.
left Egypt. They wandered
Mhm.
in the desert for 40 years. They were not ready
Yeah.
to move into the new land.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They were not ready to leave Egypt behind.
Yeah.
They left Egypt, but Egypt was still in their hearts.
Right.
So because they weren't giving up the old, God could not expand in their
Mhm.
lives, and He wanted to. I mean, God is ready. He has the greatest love and the greater desire to move us forward.
Mhm.
You know, not just as a nation, but even in our personal lives. But
Right.
it's up to us really by giving up the old stuff.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
the invitation is there. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And so,
Well, it's
so
probably because
yeah,
I've read your book.
so yeah, basically, that's what it's about. Is really, that's the only way that we'll be able to get over this division that we're facing right now. It's going back to the basics, going back
Mhm.
to what founded the United States, or what motivated people to come to the Americas,
Mhm.
which is the
Mhm.
spirit of goodness, the spirit of service, the spirit of gratitude,
Responsibility,
exactly,
love.
of kindness.
Mhm.
That's what the American spirit is.
Mhm.
This is not about race.
Right.
This is not about nationality. We're talking about a force that is within all of us, that it needs to be awakened,
Mhm.
so that then we can receive the blessings of providence,
Mhm.
of that source that blessed the founding fathers of the United States,
Yeah, I
and
love that.
everybody involved in that process of this new idea of freedom,
Mhm.
and growth for a society, for a people,
Yeah.
you know. But it begins with us. Politics is not going to do it.
I was just going to say, does it begin with the individual? Is it your belief that it's the individual and then that affects community? Like, how does that, where's
Yes.
the start? How
I
is it?
mean, I
Family,
mean,
I guess the home is part of that
well, it
too.
starts with the individuals because there no choice is really private.
Yeah.
Whatever choice we make is going to,
Yeah. You do write about that in your book
you know
too.
what I mean, is going to,
Mhm. Has a ripple effect
yeah,
no matter how
exactly.
hard.
It's like when you throw a rock in the
Mhm.
water, you know, or when there's an earthquake in water, tsunamis and stuff like that, there's an effect that
Right.
takes place, um, even with an individual.
Right.
We're going to influence our children,
Hmm.
and their children are going to influence their children, and on and on. And that was all those individuals end up creating a community, a society, you know, a city, a
Hmm.
state, a nation,
Right.
providences, or whatever, you know what I mean? And so yeah, it really begins in us.
Hmm.
And it's going back to awakening that American spirit. And that's what it's about. And that's kind of what the beginning chapter is that's how it started. The spirit of America is what it's all about.
Yeah.
We call it the spirit of America, but it could be the spirit of Europe or the spirit of Asia, whatever it is. But in reality, it's the same spirit.
It's a
It's a
state of
spirit.
being, a force,
Exactly. It's
a
the force.
functioning
It's
force.
a divine force.
Hmm.
Is an endowment
Hmm.
from a higher power that when we connect to it and we abide by certain principles, we are blessed by that influence to move forward and really experience not just what liberty is, which is the expression of us choosing for ourselves, but we live the results of the good choices, which is freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
Freedom. I mean, there's so much to freedom. Is feeling free of burdens.
Hmm.
Is feeling peace, harmony. Is feeling the desire to help a neighbor. You
Hmm.
know, you know, we can talk about the the freedom of speech, right?
Right.
Although we have the freedom to say what we want, we
Hmm.
still going to do it within boundaries that are
Hmm.
going to respect others.
Hmm.
I mean,
We hope.
that's what
That's the
the
desire.
that is the inspiration of what the American spirit is all about.
Hmm.
That's what John Adams was referring to when he said that the Constitution was meant for religious and moral people. It's inadequate for the I can't remember. It's inadequate for any other mentality because religious people, they abide by a creator,
Hmm.
but then there's this other group that they might be driven by philosophy,
Hmm.
but still
Have morals.
have a standard,
Hmm.
a boundary that helps them, respect,
Yeah, govern
basic,
themselves in a
exactly,
respectful
basic
way.
human decency. And so, yeah, they know that they have the freedom to say what they want, but they will do it in a way that
Honors
respects
others.
others,
Yeah.
And so when we violate those principles, then there becomes a division because now we're fighting. Now we think we can say whatever we want.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter if it's offensive.
Yeah.
And then we claim the whole thing, this is a free country
Yeah.
kind of mentality. And that's not what
Yeah.
the origins and the founding fathers meant to
When they said that.
express.
Hmm.
It's not supported by the spirit of America.
Hmm.
The spirit of America requires decency, requires respect, honesty, personal responsibility,
Hmm.
and charity. Talk about charity,
Hmm.
it's composed by three things: by empathy, sympathy, and what's the other one? Oh man, I got to go back to my book. But yeah, so charity, empathy, sympathy, and compassion.
There you
Hmm. So those are the three things. That's what determines charity.
go. Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
which it's the purest
Form of love.
expression of love.
Yeah, purest expression
You
of
know,
love. Hmm.
and that's at the core of the American spirit. You know,
Hmm.
and that's kind of what my message is about. Is let's awaken that spirit. You
Hmm.
know, and it's not very far.
Yeah,
You
there
know,
is an awakening, I think, happening now.
yeah. No, I'm hopeful, and I'm optimistic about the future, a very near future, because there's a lot of changes taking place. I mean, just in Colombia alone,
Hmm.
we're seeing a lot of changes because there's been this work underneath,
Brewing, kind of,
yeah,
right?
where people are starting to get ready
Hmm.
and people are coming out of the shadows and willing to receive, willing
Hmm.
to embrace the new,
Hmm.
and are willing to let go of the old. We're seeing all these changes. So a lot of things are taking place, and I think we're gonna see we're gonna see a lot of changes, not just in the United States, but throughout the Americas. We're seeing it obviously in El Salvador, but we're seeing it in Argentina. We're seeing it in Chile. Colombia is there too.
Hmm. Well, hopefully
uh,
we'll see it in Venezuela.
Honduras, and other places. Venezuela, yeah, it will happen, but it's going to take a while, just because the majority of the people didn't want this. They were basically forced into something like that, and that you can't force people. You can't force freedom on people. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I- it's something that people need to choose for themselves. Obviously, we have to protect ourselves
Mm-hmm.
from people that don't, have a distorted perspective of what freedom is
Right.
or liberty. Um,
Or
but we
are
have to do it.
immoral
Yeah, but we
or
also have
power
to do it
hungry.
through love, and we have to do
Mm-hmm.
it through example.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So, anyways, so that's basically what it is. It's just awakening, and that's the subtitle of the book: awakening the American spirit within us, awakening the sense of basic respect. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to be religious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just got to express just basic human decency, honesty, respect towards others, charity, and personal responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Like those four elements, I call them the pillars of basic morality that really changes everything, in our communities, with our neighbors.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I know you talk about that. I can't remember what chapter it's in. Is that in the first? The
No,
pillars.
that is chapter 4. Hmm. I think it's chapter 4. Yeah, chapter 4. It used to be chapter 3, but it ended up being chapter 4. We're always adding stuff. But anyway, so that's basically what it is, and the book should be out for like officially for sale by Thursday.
Yeah, this week.
The What date is that?
It's exciting. Let's see what day. I don't know.
Thursday the 19th.
Very cool.
So once it's out, guys, go get your copies.
Yeah. It's a
Um,
beautiful
it
book.
is a very straightforward book.
It's easy. It's not long.
It's only
It's
120
really, it's
pages.
really a joy
My
to read. It's not like it's a quick read.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful book. And it is a joy to read. But it doesn't
yeah.
take long.
There's a lot of history. I mean, I talk about, you know, uh, the miracles that took place in the founding of the United States, how God moved when people moved. God moves according to our faith. He cannot force our liberty, and he cannot force us into freedom. And so to go back and study, the history of the United States, it's just amazing. I mean, to see God's hand
Hmm.
through the whole process. I mean, this was no little thing. So the United States deserves, you know, that recognition. You know, Obviously things are very different today, and things are changing.
Hmm.
But we're hoping, that we can bring the old United States back,
At least the
where
spirit that it was
people,
born from.
where people are awakening that spirit, and we can start uniting. One of the things the founders of the United States fear was political parties, because they knew
Hmm.
that this was going to divide the people as people choose sides.
Hmm.
Even if they're in the wrong, they still stick to their side, just for political reasons, just for for the team, all for the team,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And when we awaken the American spirit within us, it liberates us of that. It liberates us of titles and social status, or all this stuff, that is vague, that
Hmm.
actually divides us more and more.
Hmm.
And he puts us in classes, and he
Categories.
becomes about race, and he becomes about,
Yeah.
all these different things that really doesn't play a part, when it comes down to what we are here in this earth for. Like, we're just going through. Our main thing is to focus on passing on the torch, you
Mm-hmm.
know, to our to those coming, behind us.
Efforts. Mm-hmm.
Um, but right now, we're actually taking from the future. We're stealing
Yeah.
from the future. We're destroying the bridge
Yeah.
that those coming behind us need to need to work through and need to in the survey. You know what I
True.
mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, anyways, we can talk forever. I
Yeah.
mean, we can talk about technology. How we're so advanced in technology, but has it made it better as a people?
Right. It's a big
I don't
question.
think. I don't
Yeah.
think it has.
Yeah.
It has given us more information, but has it made us wiser?
No, I think the Bible is good evidence of that because so many of the things that were challenges then are still challenging for human nature
Yeah,
and people today.
yeah,
So clearly technology didn't make
yeah.
a shift there.
So anyway, so the point is, podcast, we're gonna be talking about stuff like this, and we're gonna keep expanding and more, and we're gonna be having guests. We're gonna talk about a lot of the principles that I share in the book, and it should be a fun project. It should be a fun
Yeah.
thing to do, and we look forward to sharing more of these videos and hopefully also hear from you guys and uh, questions, anything that you would like to contribute with. We look forward to.
Yeah. Sounds awesome.
Latino by birth, American by choice.
All right.